Hello, this is the Montocentrist here with another video. Today's video is about trans athletes and Lia Thomas. If you don't know who this is, it's basically it used to be a cis man who used to be like 400th in in the male division of swimming, and they transitioned to a female. Um, he's quite tall. He's 6'1", so like she towers almost. I don't want to misgender anybody, so if I slip up, I apologize. Um, I almost slipped right there. I just don't want to be an asshole. Um, so I'm just trying to be as respectful as possible. And you can tell this, she has an advantage in this swimming. She's 460th in the men's division, and when she transitioned, she is number one. She beat a shit ton of records. One swim meet was 30 seconds. The second place person, the person that got second place, had to do two more laps. 30 seconds in swimming is a fucking huge ass thing. That's like when are like, seconds and milliseconds count. 30 seconds is fucking huge. And she was breaking records up to recently where she got dead last. And a lot of people thinking that she may have sandbagged and actually placed last on purpose. Well, there's no proof that she did this, but it's very hard to give her the benefit of the doubt here because up to this point, she's breaking records. She didn't come in like second, third, or fourth. No, she came in dead last. Like that's really weird. All of a sudden, you're getting some backlash about this because seems to be clearly an unfair advantage here. I don't think they have any testosterone like levels uh, in her division or whatever school she's in. So that's another issue. Like even if she is on these supposed things like hormone blockers or replacements or whatever, I can't. I don't know 100%. I haven't looked into if she's actually taking these, but I think there is definitely something here that she's obviously way taller than all these. That's an advantage within itself. And people saying there's not enough data to say she's 100%. These trans athletes have an advantage over their cis counterparts. And I think a lot of women are hesitant to speak out against it because they don't want to be transphobe or called transphobes. So they don't really complain about it. And I kind of agree there isn't enough data to 100% look, hey, they have an advantage here. They shouldn't play into men's or women's sport if you're used to be a cis man. So, in a way, that is 100% correct. But when you see, shattering records time and time again, you kind of think, well, maybe she does actually have an advantage here. And there is something that needs to be done. I'm not saying don't do anything crazy, like ban them or anything. Maybe there's some, I guess, nuance here that we can come to a conclusion where it's not so bad of, I guess, maybe a certain, I guess, compromise. I think there should be a separate division for cis people in general. This doesn't exclude them 100%. I don't think it'd be big enough. The problem is that I don't think it'd be big enough to actually have divisions to separate it like that. And there is a lot of back and forth of whether or not she should compete or just in general, assist or used to be assist male. that transitions into a female. And I can understand like both sides here. Well, I agree more on the side of not letting particularly her participate because it's kind of obvious that she does seem to at least seem to have an advantage here over these women, at least up to now. At least it's weird that I guess assist or used to be assist man actually holds women's records. Um, I could see why people are upset about that, and it at least seems like women's sports. Well, I guess cis women. I have to, I guess, then really narrow that down. Are being somewhat attacked, or not exactly being replaced by men, but is a little bit of a fear that uh, trans people will have all the records in the women's sports, and no cis women will be actually in records. Like they just can't compete. I know this woman who is in cycling, a trans cyclist went in there and just pretty much won all of the things, and she just quit because she just like she got tired of it. It's like I can't compete against what used to be a cis man for 20, 18, 20 plus years. There's definitely a differences here. Muscle mass is different. I know testosterone isn't 100%, a key factor into men do get if you transition do get weaker in general, but there's a bunch of factors that go into here that I can't go 100% over every single factor. But I can see it being kind of worrisome, even though it's not like a huge issue now, right? Not enough here to really say one way or another if that's going to happen. But I see, women, cis women at least, like, hey, like this is not right. They're dominating our particular sport. They may not be dominating everything right now, but that could be the case where trans people hold all the records and there's no cis women there. So what do we do to remedy this? I think there does need to be more guidelines to how long they need to be on, the treatments. Um, Certain levels of testosterone should be a little bit more strict. I think that would make it a little bit more fair, or at least on a more evenly playing field. So I can understand that side of the argument, right? And I also understand, like, I guess the side of where do what how do they play sports at all? Because there's no way they're going to compete in the men's division once they transition, right? There's just no way they could compete probably in the men's division at all. So they go by their gender identity, and it's very a few exception where a girl transitions into a man and they go into men's sports and actually be good. I think there's that one example where the wrestler she transitioned or was under the books of a male and she did quite good. Other than her, I really don't know anybody else that's done so, or at least is more well known for it. Uh, there's definitely something here that should be more examined and more, I guess, data be done before they maybe can compete on I guess, a more professional level or not so professional level because we don't know, we don't have a whole lot of data here to go off to see 100% this they have an advantage or not. This is true, but when you see it happening, it's more so as like, oh, yeah, they shouldn't be doing this regardless of the data because, well, they're winning, and not only winning, it's a huge differential. Just recently, she just beat a silver medalist Olympic swimmer by like 2 seconds. I think it's 1.7 seconds, which is also pretty big difference. When in, you know, you race like that, is it's a huge thing, especially in like high school or college level. So there's definitely, I think, a compromise that could be held. I think more stricter rules, as I said before, could play in a big factor of actually more of a playing field, or uh, at least a feeling of a more evenly playing field than what we have now. So it's, well, I agree more on site. There needs to be more data, yes, to give an actual consensus of if they have an advantage or not. There's definitely a concern I see where people like, oh well, all trans has trans athletes have these records, and there's no real cis women left because that's why they separated the sports to begin with, to have more of a plain, even playing field, and it seems that is be taken away from them. So I can definitely see that argument for sure. So hopefully there's within the next couple of years or so, maybe it may take longer to actually have some definite answers here because not a lot of people. There could be records of a lot more. They're just not open about it. Records that just trans athletes have. They just haven't came out and said they're actually trans. So who knows what will happen here? I know it'd be very hard to make their own divisions of sports, especially right now because they're only like 2-3% of the population. So it'd be very, very difficult to put them in their own. It just wouldn't be big enough to actually hold, you know, events or stuff like that to justify holding them because it'd be very not very many people. So if they want to play sports, what do they play against the men still? Because they're not going to. There's no way they can compete. I find it just crazy that she is breaking records when in the women's division when she the man it was really kind of bad, and it's number one once transitioned, or at least breaking records. I don't think she's first or anything like that, but she was breaking records. So that's pretty much all to say. Hopefully, I did that as best as I can, and I didn't come off as transphobic or accidentally misgendered anybody. I don't do that on purpose. If they want to be classified as a female, I will do so, and I'm trying not to be a complete dick about it. So hopefully I didn't mess that up too much. I want to see some sort of compromise with this. That's basically all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Right, comment, subscribe.